And Paul goes on to give us reasons for that. He says, so I say, live by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the sinful nature. Because the sinful nature desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the sinful nature. They are in conflict with one another, so that you do not do what you want. The flesh, the sinful nature, continues to do what it has always done. And the flesh, the sinful nature, expects you to do what you have always done. The sinful nature has always made demands, and you have always responded to those demands. And now all of a sudden, a new teacher comes along, a new authority comes along, and when the sinful nature calls out, you have to think, am I supposed to, and the sinful nature is like, well, hey, what's going on? You heard me call. What's new? What's different? Amen? Amen? Gentlemen, let's get real for a second. You remember back when you were 16, when you were 19, and you had that pretty little girlfriend that you courted, right? And even though you didn't have proof, you knew the day she found a new guy? Right? You ain't see her with nobody else. Ain't nobody told you they saw her with nobody else. But she just did not respond to you the same way she had been responding all the time. You remember the first time you called her and she didn't pick up? And she had picked up that same time, that same place, all the previous 19, 20, 34 days. And then day 35, the phone just rang. Y'all had a call waiting back then, did you? No, the phone just rang. And she didn't pick up. And then 2 hours later, she still didn't pick up. And then half an hour later, she did pick up. And she didn't really give you a good explanation of why she didn't pick up 2.5 hours ago. You knew. See, because nothing about you changed. Something about her changed. You did the same thing that you had always been doing. You were calling. She wasn't responding. So what did you do? You kind of amped it up a little bit. You didn't stop calling. Let me pay a little more attention. Let me call a little harder. Let me make my presence felt a bit. Amen? Amen? Y'all just don't want to admit y'all got suckers like that. You know you called it some more. That's the flesh. The flesh has been calling us and we've been responding. It's been calling us and we've been responding. It's calling us and we've been. All of a sudden, here comes Christ. And Christ is letting us know that not only is he a better suitor than the flesh, Christ is letting us know that we're a better catch than the flesh made us think we were. And so now we are looking toward the call of the Spirit. But the flesh is still calling. And the flesh is wondering why you're not responding the way you've always. So the flesh is going to try to amp up its call. The flesh is going to stalk you. That's what it's going to do, amen? I'm not going to ask you how if your stalking works. I'm not going to. But amen? So the flesh is trying to be domineering. The flesh is trying to fight for control. The Bible says that the sinful nature desires what is contrary to the spiritual nature. It lusts against the Spirit. It lusts against the desires of the Spirit. And it struggles to fight for control within that person. And the flesh stands toe-to-toe. It stands face-to-face with the Spirit, and it tries to seek control. You know why love triangles are love triangles? Because the person in the middle has not yet decided which way they're going to go. It's a triangle. The love triangle never even gets formed if the person in the middle says no anymore, yes from now on. Then there's never a love triangle. And the reason it's a love triangle because this person is paying attention to the middle, this person's paying attention to the middle, and now they hate each other because they both desire the same thing. Amen? Because this person believes, you know what, she would really love me and be with me if you never showed up. And this person thinks she would really love me and be with me if you weren't here when I got here. But you know what the truth is? If she can't make up her but anyway, the flesh is in contrary to the spirit, and it seeks control. And the thing about it is we can all relate to this because every person knows what it is to have his flesh longing after something or lusting after something. All of us know exactly what it is to have our flesh desiring after something, to yearn, to hold. Amen? All of us understand that call. Is that right? And the flesh is very strong. The sinful nature is very strong. It's very difficult to control. Now, I want to make sure, the reason I keep saying sinful nature and flesh as the same thing is because sometimes when we think sinful nature, we think sinful act. And we say, well, I don't have a sinful nature because I'm not looking to murder anybody. And I don't have sinful nature because I'm not looking to fornicate. And I don't have sinful nature because I'm not looking to rob anybody. But you see, sinful nature is just what the flesh desires. Because your sinful nature can manifest itself in those things that we sometimes think are so much more socially acceptable. Your sinful nature manifests itself in pride. And your sinful nature manifests itself in greed. Your sinful nature manifests itself in self-serving acts. And while these are acts that may be much more socially acceptable than murdering somebody, they are still acts of the flesh. They are acts of the sinful nature. They are acts that are contrary and opposite to the acts of the Spirit. Is that all right? Is that all right? And see, the flesh, the sinful nature is very strong. It's very difficult to control. And this is the first reason why our only hope to control the flesh is to yield and follow the Spirit of God. So I say, live by the Spirit and you will not gratify the desires of the sinful nature. The sinful nature desires what is contrary to the Spirit. The sinful nature or the flesh is contrary to the Spirit. The flesh or the sinful nature has within itself a very basic, a very base, a very immature, it's no constraint. Very urgy, very passionate, impulsive. Amen? In Galatians 4, around verse 2, around verse 3, Paul is giving us an understanding that our initial responses to God are very base responses to God. Our initial responses to God are really based on the elementary principles of the world. And our initial responses to God are really responses with our flesh. We try to understand God with our flesh because that's what we're used to. And we respond to God with our flesh because that's what we're used to. And so our initial responses to God are very spiritually immature because our spirit is not awakened that way, right? And Paul is giving us that same understanding is that our flesh is so anti-spirit that anything that we do as natural man is in direct contrast to what the Spirit would have us do. That's why I've kind of gotten into the habit of saying if it's something that just seems natural, I'm pretty sure that's not it. If it's something that everybody else is doing, I'm pretty sure that's not it. If it's something that makes sense to me, I'm pretty sure that's not it.